Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show, where we help you make the wisest and most profitable decisions. My name is Dr. Gleb Tsipursky. I'm the CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, the future of work consultancy that sponsors the Wise Decision Maker Show. And today I'm joined by Tony. Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Hello, everybody. This is Tony here. I like to call myself a future of work advocate. I advocate for a better future of work, obviously a remote future of work. And I'm also work as a CEO of Oyster. Oyster is a global employment platform, mission-driven company on a mission to democratize access to job opportunities across the world.
Excellent. And you call yourself a remote work advocate. Why do you advocate for remote work?
I believe remote work is better for people, better for business, and better for the planet. It's better for people because it gives them flexibility, it gives them freedom. I live in the island of Cyprus near the beach after spending 25 years living in concrete jungles in London, San Francisco, and Paris. And it gives them a degree of flexibility as well. They can work when they can work, and they can live their life when they need to live their life. You know, if you want to pick up your children from school, you can without feeling guilty. You want to have a massage at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, you can without feeling guilty. So it's great for people, but it's also great for business because it results in higher level of engagement, higher level of commitment, a better culture. At Oyster, we have one of the best cultures in technology. We got voted recently by Glassdoor, one of the top 25 technology companies to work for, and we have level of diversity that's unheard of. You know, we are 550 people in 70 countries. We are as diverse as the planet Earth, and that we know what that means in terms of impact, in terms of financial performance. So it's better for business as well. You have access to a global talent pool. We know there's 85 million knowledge jobs going unfulfilled in the West, according to BCG. That's $8.5 trillion economic loss. So if you as a business can tap into a global talent pool and find great talent around the world, well, that has a positive impact on your business. And finally, let's not forget, it's great for the planet. If you work from home, you reduce your emission footprint by half. And I'm really surprised to see CEOs of public companies that takes sustainability seriously, according to their annual reports, and their board members asking their employees to go back to the office, because that's going to make all their efforts impacted by the fact that, hey, now we're doubling our emissions because we want to force people to come to the office. And that's is quite surprising for me.
So I've worked by now with over 24 companies, helping them figure out their future work strategy. And I want to go back to that question about work-life balance and culture, and going back to the office. So and I'm curious how you would respond to this. So one of the leaders I talked to, he was a little bit more against the remote work. And what he said was that, well, he's concerned that workers who are working remotely, they are not going to be putting the company first. He's used to his school of thought, kind of in his generation, of the really loyal employees putting the company first before everything else. And he feels that people will do that if they come to the office and they have their office community be the first community, be the most important community. And that's what they should be doing. So what would you answer to CEOs who have that perspective, which I think underlies a significant portion of CEOs who do have that attitude and who are trying to get their employees back to the office?
Well, by company first here, I'm sure she or he means that sacrifice your life for your work, and how people's going to feel doing that. They might be forced to do it because they need to. They need the job, right? They need the job. They need to earn money to live. But the first opportunity for them to find a higher paid job, they will change. So I would really question the loyalty question of that leader. And secondly, this mentality of sacrificing your life for your work, I think it was called slavery, back in the days, I think. I'm not sure, but the world has moved since then, right? I mean, the world of employment has moved. Humans have earned their rights in terms of protection of their employment and the quality of their job and their work. And in our research at Oyster, we realize that if people feel cared for, and we are positioned as this global employment platform that takes care of your employees no matter where they are, think about great localized benefits, give them equity, and give them fair contract terms, and so on and so forth. These employees that benefit from higher level of benefits stay longer. They have higher retention. They have higher level of engagement. They're more loyal to your business. So that's kind of the impact here. If you really care about how people feel working with you, you go a long way to create a culture that's going to pay dividend for a very long time, and in terms of financial returns. So I think this putting the company first and sacrifice your life for hitting essentially an arbitrary goal in a spreadsheet to make very few on the top richer is long gone. People now looking for purpose. They're looking for fulfillment. They're looking for career opportunity, personal and professional growth. This is what the new generation is looking for. And so these kind of statements or behavior are short-term behaviors, because these companies, they're going to be natural selection, right? To the companies that care for people and actually build a distributed workforces, remote workforces, they're going to be the company that's going to thrive. And because they're going to attract the best talent. They're going to attract the talent that they know they can find job anywhere, right? These highly confident talent around the world that we hire here at Oyster are some of the best in the world. I mean, we used to a couple of years ago, we used to hire a lot of people, right? When interest rate was zero and we had lots of VC money. We used to receive 2 years ago. We were 1.5 years old company. We used to receive 13,000 job application per month.
Oh wow!
And so we had that. It's very hard to really get accepted at Oyster because we have access to the world. The world is our oyster for talent. The best talent in the world is going to gravitate towards companies that take care of them.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, let's talk about what it means to take care of them. So you talked about culture. And one of the concerns that a lot of my clients have is how do you actually build culture if you have a remote first setting? So what are the tactics, the specific strategies that you use to build culture effectively when people are working remotely?
The first is you don't let chance define your culture. You are intentional about defining your culture. And you need to understand that culture have shifted. What culture means used to mean, office space, the interior design of your office. You have ping pong tables, you have beers available in the fridge. Do people hang out on Friday afternoon and have drinks together? That was kind of a lot of the confusion. Was culture was this is how you describe culture, right? But essentially, it has shifted quite a bit. Now it's clear that culture is about how do you work together? How do you communicate and collaborate? Culture is now how do you measure success? Culture is how do you build trust? And how do you relate to each other? How do you behave towards each other as a group, a company, as a team? And it has to be intentional. So you have to deliberately develop a set of values that are designed for your culture, for your situation. So in our case, because we're a fully distributed company, building trust is our #1 value. Because we're distributed around the world, elevating talent is is another value we have. So let me just give you some examples of the other aspect of the culture. So how do you work together? So at Oyster, again, we don't let it for the chance. We are very intentional. We have the way we work, we call it follow the sun. We have branded it because we are in 70 countries. So we have to follow the sun in terms of time zone and make sure that everyone is successful no matter where they are. So obviously we default to asynchronous way of communication and collaboration. We document a lot in our internal documentation. The quality of our internal documentation is as good as the quality of our customer-facing documentation. We make sure that people can be effective and successful no matter what they are, working with teams across time zones. We train also, we have during the onboarding process, we train our employees on how to work here. How do you, like, when do we expect you to use Google Doc? When do we expect you to use Loom or Zoom? When do we expect you to use Notion? And so that's kind of the way we work together. And then you have, how do we set success? What success look like? How do we measure success? So again, in a fully distributed environment, you're not seeing the person in seat. So you have to be very clear about what success is. Because you're not monitoring their time, you're not there seeing them present in the office. So how do you know they're doing, they're working, right? So you have to shift from time-based or presence-based way of measuring output to actual output. Actually, we inherited that from the Industrial Revolution when we used to bring people to work in factories and produce widgets. So we have, we presence of the person in the factory meant X amount of widgets produced per day, per month. When we moved to the office and we start doing knowledge work, we kept this type of management style. Actually, in MBA schools, and I've attended one, you learn management techniques that were available, since 100 years, like Fordism. That's not really adapted to knowledge work today. So at Oyster, what we do is we use a system called Objective Key Result, OKR. You've probably heard of it. Many technology companies use it. So essentially, we set the goals of the company on the team level and on the individual level. So everybody knows what do we expect from them on a monthly basis. So we talked about that. We talked about how we set goals, and finally we talked about how to build trust. How do we work together? Yeah. So I think this is kind of what I'm saying here is that you need to be intentional in building your culture. And by the way, these things, building trust, being clear about what goals, how do you measure success, and being clear how you work together, would make any company better. You don't have to be a remote company, right? I mean, if you're in the office, you might get away with not being clear of how do you collaborate and communicate, because you can go and tap on the back of somebody and talk to them, right? But if you're remote, it becomes a forcing function to define how you work, and that boosts your productivity, right? And that's why remote companies are the companies of tomorrow. They're going to be better managed companies because they're being forced to implement a more intentional culture.
That makes a lot of sense to me, and I've definitely seen that with some of my clients who do choose to be a remote-first company. Now, talking about the world of tomorrow, and as we finish up our conversation, what do you see happening in this world of tomorrow? Where do you see the future going regarding remote work?
Look, I think the future of work is going to be not connected to a location. So like it's not going to be a concept of going back to the office, working from home. Work is something you do. It's not a place you go to anymore, right? I mean, we will delete from our head this concept that we inherited from the Industrial Revolution and the factory era. We live in a knowledge work environment, and so so what's going to happen is that the best talent in the world, they value their freedom. They value their flexibility. I'm not going to put my relationship with children second and put my business first. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that, right? I know I can find work anywhere. I'm a top talent. I'm not going to actually sacrifice my lifestyle. I live in this beautiful island of Cyprus. I'm not going to move to central London anymore to get a job, right? If I know there's a company in the world that's going to come hire me here in Cyprus, right? So the best talent in the world is going to gravitate toward these remote companies that make them successful no matter what they are, the well-managed remote companies. And they're going to be the companies of tomorrow. The other that are forcing their employees to return to the office, they're going to start kind of declining over time. It might take 10 years, but that's kind of the path. Now what's happening in the world is also depends on the economical cycle we're in. Sure. Because if we are in a difficult economical cycle, the power shifts from employees to employer. When the economy restarts, it flips again. So this process is going to look like 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. At the moment, we have 1 step backward. But make no mistake, the future is remote.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Thank you for sharing your expertise, Tony, and thank you for sharing your vision. That was very helpful.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And thank you to the audience for checking out another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out the show and leave a review. It helps others discover the show and it helps us improve the show.